So what do you think the number one stressor of van life is all about? What is the one thing that stresses out the most a nomad? Y'all. So what do you think the number one stressor of van life is all about? What is the one thing that stresses out the most a nomad and causes massive worry, sometimes heart palpitations? What do you think that would be? Parking, maybe? I don't know, somebody knocking on your door or whatever. Well, let me tell you, the number one stressor of a van dweller is vehicle issues. It is something going wrong. You know, that check engine light comes on. Now, if that check engine light is red, look out. You better stop your vehicle right away. If it's yellow, well, you just need to have it checked out, right? But I'll tell you what, anytime my check engine light comes on, I gulp. My throat goes dry. Yes, I've always driven used vehicles. I mean, some of you, you got the big rigs, and they're brand new or whatever. But a lot of us, I'm going to say maybe even most of us, are driving used vehicles. Some of them getting kind of old and the mileage is going up. I'm not too bad right now. I'm at about 115,000, which is pretty good. But boy, that check engine light comes on and I'm like, what now? What now? What is going on now? But I do feel blessed and I do look for good outcomes. So that's really important. And I want to thank you for spending time with me today. And please watch the video all the way to the end. I've got some good information for you. Yeah. And good things are coming our way, all of us. Good things, even though the world looks like it's falling apart, good things are coming our way. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this. Now, little Sugar, she made a comment, and I read her letter yesterday on yesterday's episode. And she said that pay attention to the details of your rig. Pay attention to all those little details. She had talked about like the weather stripping on her van and on, around the windows, things like that, because water can get in there and it can create, problems. Yeah. Well, I've had my share of, it's almost as if it's so stressful. And I know a lot of you have mentioned that it's stressful for you too. That, my heart just starts beating really fast. So it's just really it's not fun. Well, what I do is I carry around my car scan. Yeah. And I bought this, I think it was at O'Reilly. I bought this. It was about $110. There's different degrees. I thought I'd get midway. You can spend a lot more money than $110 for a car scan. But once that check engine light goes on, if I'm on the road, I'll wait to get to a truck stop or a Pilot or a Love's, a truck or a rest stop. Truck stop or rest stop. Any place where you can stop. And I plug this in and whoops. Yeah. And follow the directions. You don't want to hurt your electrical system. Your computer chips in there. But so you have to follow directions on this. But you can just follow directions. And I know that it came with some. I have mine kind of off somewhere. I think you want to plug it in when the car is off, but check your instructions. But this will tell you, and then if you have a mechanic, you can call them and say, this is what the codes are, and what do you think? You know, can I still drive it? Things like that. So I think this is a really good thing to have, and it does take some of the stress out, so my heart can stop beating so fast. But yeah, I've had my troubles. I have had my troubles, and I'll mention just a couple of them in a minute. So basically, everybody, you want to be able to do some maintenance on your own. And I'm really kind of talking to the gals here. Some of you already do it, you know, but some of you aren't. You want to check your fluids. When your car is completely cold, you want to lift off, maybe put some gloves on or something, or get a paper towel around your hand and open up the radiator cap and look inside. You know, my family mechanic told me to do this often, check all the fluids. Well, he's not in business anymore. I haven't talked to him in a long time. This is when I first became a nomad. Well, I kind of got lazy, and last winter, I was in Tucson, and for some reason, my air conditioner wouldn't work, and I thought, well, this is awful. Heart started beating. Oh my gosh. Then it was like my thermostat didn't work at all, so I thought, well, maybe I need a new thermostat. Well, I drove to the place where I park. I was with Paul at the time. We drove to the place. By the time I got there was nothing. And I checked my radiator. It was empty. What? I got lazy and I didn't check it. But there was water in the overflow. You know that little thing that fills up? Well, when I took it I had it towed to my mechanic. I didn't know what was wrong. Didn't want to drive it, of course. It's a good thing I didn't crack my engine. Oh my goodness. Well, I was lucky. He said, and I said, well, there was water in the overflow. He goes, no. He goes, that's not a reservoir at all. He goes, you've got to take off the radiator cap and look what's in there. I didn't know that. I thought you could just kind of look at the overflow. Take off the radiator cap, but it has to be cold. It has to be cold to the touch, okay? Now you want to check all your other fluids also, especially your oil. Now what I do, here's another tip. I use synthetic oil when I get my oil changed. I don't do it myself. I either go to my mechanic that is in Tucson, or I go to Valvoline and they'll do it for me, right? But in the meantime, you want to be able to check your oil. So you need to learn how to do that. Go on YouTube and learn how to do that. You can find almost anything on YouTube, but I use synthetic oil and I have it changed every 5,000 miles. Don't wait 10,000 like some people say. Don't wait 12. Don't do 7. Do 5. Because I follow Scotty Kilmer on YouTube, and he is so funny. He really is. He's an expert. He's got like millions of subscribers. He used to actually be on TV. He used to be the mechanic in this one, wherever he lives. And he used to be on TV on the news as the mechanic. Well, if you have a problem or you have a question, type in your problem and then put at the end Scotty Kilmer, and YouTube will show all of the videos that Scotty Kilmer has on that subject. So you need to be checking your fluids, and if you don't know how to do that, you can ask Scotty Kilmer. I would get online and get your manual for your year, your make, and your model. Now, you want to be checking, and you can change your own air filter, your engine air filter. Very important, very important. But I also mention your cabin filter. That's air coming through into the cabin of your minivan. Yeah, or your rig, whatever. Did I mention that I'm minivan lead? Let's just take a minute. I live in my minivan, and I've lived here for 6 years. Well, not this one. This is my second minivan. But I've got a pretty nice minivan. It's minimalist, and it's a simple, no build out. I do not have bed frame and things like that. I can pretty much sit in my minivan. Yeah, I've got plenty of room, and then I can roll out my bed at night when I go to bed. So, and then I roll it up in the morning. So I just didn't want to mention, I've got so many new subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing. And I try to, what I try to do, and what I think I do, I think I succeed, is to give you confidence if you're going to be a nomad, a van dweller. And a lot of you, and I'm seeing you out here, you are females that cannot no longer afford your rent, or you had to sell your home because you can't do the upkeep. You can't afford to do the upkeep because you can't do a lot of things yourself, and you can't pay your property taxes, and you just don't want the hassle anymore. So you're moving into a rig. A lot of you are moving into minivans because they're very stealthy and they're very economical, good on gas, and they're not too small and they're not too big. They're just right, like little baby bear, right? They're just right. Well, as far as maintenance, I really encourage you gals to do some of the maintenance on your own and be checking things. Like, I should have checked my water. I should have been checking my water. You want to check your tire pressure also. I do have a tire inflator. The one thing I don't have now is a jump starter. Mine didn't work the last couple times, and I was going to jump somebody, and I wanted to use my jump starter, and it didn't work. Well, you want to check your tire pressure, right? Here's another tip, gals. Even if you have jumper cables, don't be jumping people's cars. Don't do it. I was told by a mechanic that what it does is you have diodes. Did you ever hear of your diodes? It's like brain cells, right? You got diodes in your computer system. And every time that you jump somebody, you're going to lose some of those diodes. You don't even know how many you lose. Like if you're drinking a lot, you're going to lose brain cells, but you don't know how many. But you will lose some. Well, don't be jumping people's cars. If you don't have a jump starter, just say, I don't have the cables, and I never, just say I don't jump people's cars, because you can even just blame it on your battery. Say, my battery isn't it? Whatever you want to say. You don't want to make them mad if they're kind of mean people, but, say, oh, no, I don't do that. Just say, I don't do that. So don't do it, okay? You don't want to hurt your diodes. I know, what's a diode? It's like the binary system. You got X's and O's or whatever. Yeah, ones and O's. Okay, so these are things that you need to do. As far as your cabin filter, I'll tell you something on my cabin filter. And I've talked about my cabin filter. It is important. Now, they're usually behind your glove compartment. You have to pull your whole glove compartment down the door and get in there. What I did, because I've got everything shoved against, I got a bin shoved against her. I don't even hook the door back up. If I open the door, it just flops down, because I don't keep anything in there. The only reason I want to get in there is to get at the cabin filter. The cabin filter is what filters the air coming through the engine, your engine area, and dust, debris, leaves. Oh my gosh. If you haven't checked your cabin filter in a long time, it's shocking. I do mine about once every 6 months. Well, I do that about once every 6 months. But last year I was in Flagstaff, and for some reason my fan wasn't, when I turned on the air conditioner, you gotta have an air conditioner in Arizona, and it wasn't blowing hardly. The fan was like, what's wrong with my fan? It wasn't blowing, and it wasn't as cool of air, but it wasn't blowing. Well, I didn't want to go to the mechanics here There's not that many, and they're uber expensive, and I don't know, and I found out the next year why, but I won't go into that one. When I was trying to fix my lock on my door, yeah, they wanted to charge me 3 times what was online. Yeah, no. Anyways, so I drove 4 hours to Tucson where I could trust my mechanic. So they fixed it. And I said, well, what was it? He goes, it was your cabin filter. And I'm going, what? I almost didn't believe him. He goes, well, let me show you. It was gross. And that was only like every 6 months. Yeah. And I don't even travel that much. Check your cabin filter, because it was hampering the air coming through. And my air conditioner wasn't working well. Right? So I'm going to be traveling pretty soon, which reminds me, I'm going to go get another cabin filter just because, and your air filter. You can change your air filter. You want air coming through the engine. Duh, you've got to think about these things, and you can do that on your own. If you don't want to, pay a mechanic to do it, but I'm telling you, it's more expensive. Oh my gosh. So these are things you can do. You want to pay attention to the details of your home. This is our home. If we lose our home, that's why our heart beats, because I know I've had trouble. Oh, the trouble I've seen with my minivans. Oh my gosh. Now you remember 2 years ago that when I finally got this new one, I had gaskets leaking. And I took it to the mechanic in Yuma. I was in Quartzsite. I took it to Yuma, had it towed. He wouldn't even think. He goes, I'm not going to, you got so much trouble going on in there. You got gaskets leaking, oil's leaking. And I'll tell you, I went and got, Paula and I drove to Tucson to look at a vehicle, and I bought this one. There were little glitches in this one too. But I'm telling you, it's a hassle to switch over your rig. And if you're a solo female, where are you going to park your old one and put your new one in so that you can take your time doing it? I was lucky enough to be on BLM land, and so I could sit there and do it and take my time. But I've had to tow my van here and there into a mechanic before. Oh, yeah. So another good thing, too, is AAA. I have AAA. So they can come tow me. And I have the Platinum, because the best thing about that is I have 2 a year. I have 200-mile tows. So let's say I'm in Flagstaff, and I have found out I do not like the mechanics here. Yeah, I don't trust them. Well, 200 miles away is in Phoenix. I could definitely find somebody good in Phoenix with a good price. Yeah. Or if I'm in Phoenix and I can tow it to Tucson. Or if I'm in Yuma, I can tow it to, yeah. So I like that too, those 200-mile tows. Also, I have locked my car out too. I've locked myself out. Twice I had to call them. So, yeah. So you've got to pay attention. Is water leaking inside of your van, your rig? Is your check engine light on? Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. I had somebody tell me one time, well, and Kias, I guess, are known for, you go over a bump and check engine light comes on. Well, one time I didn't, and, I'm Johnny on the spot when it comes to my check engine lights. But I wanted to mention that y'all say, well, where to park? I'm so scared where to park at night. Well, I'm so scared somebody's going to knock on my window. Or I'm scared to leave my van at Walmart when I go in because somebody might break in. Well, I'll tell you, what's the biggest stressor for a nomad, a full-time van living dweller, is problems with your rig. And I'm not even going to go into the fact that if you get in an accident and you have to have body work done, it could be in there for days. So at some point, I think I will talk about the possibilities of how to handle these things. How do you handle these things? Well, we probably can talk about it because there are different ideas of what you can do if you lose your van on the road through an accident. I'll tell you, it is a hassle up the yin-yang. It is just, oh my gosh. We're not just in a house, right? We're in a van. This is our home. Yeah. You can have a roof leaking. You can have your heater goes out. Your air conditioning goes out. Yeah, something like that, or whatever can go wrong. All of a sudden you got a flood in the bathroom because the tub thing came undone. But you don't have to like leave your house. Well, guess what? If there's something goes wrong with our rigs, we have to leave it. And we have to leave it with somebody else with everything in it. So, not to worry, but that's why I say, and that was good advice, little sugar, pay attention to the details. If any of your codes come up, any of those engine lights come on, pay attention. Get yourself a code reader. Find yourself a mechanic. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. We got the book. Oh, yeah. We got lists on there to get you going. And we've got on minivanlee.com, I've got neck gaiters. I just sent a bunch. I'm telling you, a bunch of orders. I looked at my supply that's starting to go down. So if you want to go on minivanlee.com, winter's coming. If you want some of the neck gaiters, I would get them going now. And I sold a couple of shamags too. Oh my gosh. So you're getting ready for quartzite. Yeah. Okay. Well, till tomorrow, everybody. I love you guys so much. And I just appreciate you watching it all the way through. And I appreciate you spending time with me. Till tomorrow, everybody.